a new boy to this formula. So the conditions here at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit, it's a dry track, but it's very drizzly. The track is getting greasy. Everyone seems to have chosen to start on slick tyres amongst the front runners. And indeed, they're back on the 4th row, 8th fastest. We have young Steve Deeks. He also on slick tyres. He's carrying our camera. So as the drivers await the green light for the off, it's going to be greasy conditions. Some of the cars at the back have got wet tyres on, hoping for rain. The front, they're all on slicks. It's going to be tricky to get the power down. They wait for the green light. Away goes the green light, and on the pole position, Honeysett gets a bit of a wheel spin and looks like Creswell's going to have the lead up to paddock. The famous Brands Hatch. Honeysett holding up the inside, and Creswell chopping across has taken Honeysett's nose cone off. Now that is going to reduce his downforce on the front, so Honeysett already in trouble, indeed in more trouble. The whole bodywork there, the wind has got under it with the nose off, other drivers dodging left, right and centre to avoid it. So Honeysett in more trouble, mangled bodywork left behind. As it is, the field, it's Creswell who's got away. Guy Johnson there's up to second. Honeysett is still running third without his bodywork. The rest of the field through bottom bend safely. Oh, I said safe, that's our camera car. It's Steve Deeks in the background. Got out wide, hit the barrier. In fact, he nudged Alan Mugglesworth-Stone first, who hit the barrier. And there, that's Andy Gregory out of the race with a very damaged Formula Forward car. That car is right in the middle of the track. I'm not sure this race can continue. Indeed, that's the black flag shown at all the marshals' posts to indicate there's a red flag on the start-finish line. The race is being stopped. Here we look with Deeks in the camera car right back at the start of the race. He makes a good start outside of the 4th row, up to paddock, looking to get around the outside of cars if he can. Conditions here very slippery on these slick tyres. There you see Deeks already sliding. When the cars are greasy, the track is greasy rather, these tyres have limited. There's Honeysett's bodywork flying towards us, but Deeks done well up to 5th place going round Druids from 8th on the grid, so he's made a good start sliding out of Druids. You can see the shine on the front right wheel showing how the tyre isn't really working, it's greasy, but he's doing well in 4th place along this bending bottom straight, and there you see the car got away from him. Oh, and you can indicate how much impact there is on the driver. There, that smoky haze, that's probably the fire extinguisher going off. There, Deeks' sadly damaged car, he's going to take no further part. The track needs cleaning up as well. So, all in all, a very dramatic start to this 15-lap Formula Forward race, which we now understand is going to be restarted over 12 laps. There, the Honeysett team busily patching up that bodywork to see if they can get their man back in the race again. Obviously, the scrutineers who check the cars for safety are going to be watching what the mechanics do, checking everything is correct. Obviously the race been delayed a bit while the track is being cleared up, so that the team, with excessive use of what we call tank tape, and every industry's got a different word for it, now on wet tyres also. Obviously the drivers, it's rained a little bit more, the drizzle's come down, the track is now wet, and I think most cars are going to be changing to wet tyres, but the Honeysett crew are very busy trying to patch up this shattered bodywork, fiberglass bodywork, to make him be able to start the race. More adjustments being made to the wet conditions, people putting a bit more downforce on the front. They're a bit of a problem. A car with one wet tyre and one slick. That was James Rhodes' car. Rhodes, a Formula First champion, moving up into Formula Forward. Still, there's the hooter to sound the 3-minute warning. These mechanics will have to be off the grid. Time has run out. Indeed, the car there is missing the left-hand wing mirror, which I think is going to be the problem. The bodywork's on, but drivers must have both wing mirrors in place before they're allowed to start. So the crew will have to return to the pits to make more work on that car. Honeysett getting his engine push started. He's got that mirror on, but now, because he wasn't, there's Rhodes also going to start from the pit lane. So 2 cars from the pit lane, the rest of the grid now on a very wet Brands Indy circuit. Creswell slides down the hill, the only man left on the front row. He'll hope to hold that. Saunders made a tremendous start from the 2nd row. There, starting from the pit lane, go Honeysett and Rhodes. Saunders didn't make it round the outside of Creswell, and it's Creswell who leads the remainder of the field through that dip of Paddock Hill Bend up to Druids, and you can see from the spray how much the conditions have worsened. Round Druids, always very slippery, a lot of grease. You'll see the drivers taking different lines in the wet, always trying to find parts of the track not used quite so often where there's more grip and not so much rubber laid down. So along Cooper Straight, it's Creswell that leads, Saunders second, Guy Johnson menacing in third place. And in the background there, another problem on Cooper Straight. It's a very difficult curving straight. That's 21 Simon Tate. He's out of the race. Debris left on the circuit. But fortunately, no one hit him too hard. The marshal's clearing the rubbish off the circuit. And hopefully this time the race will continue as Creswell completes that first lap with a commanding lead. Guy Johnson looking to take second place off Saunders up to paddock. Indeed, he does it. So now the two most experienced Brands Hatch regulars looking to have a battle out front. Saunders picking his way through that very treacherous Paddock Hill bend. Creswell leads, Guy Johnson now second, Saunders third, and Adrian Wood coming up to challenge in fourth. Sliding round Druids. Wood now right up with Saunders, a battle for third, while Guy Johnson tries to catch Creswell. Through Graham Hill bend, there along this twisting Cooper Straight. It's not really a straight at all, it's got this bend in it, and Wood comes up to Saunders to challenge. Saunders and Wood both have come out of the Formula First formula, a new formula a couple of years ago. There you see them taking that wide line, missing the apex of clearways. That's the very greasy condition. They try to search for traction, go the long way around and avoid the slippery conditions. Guy Johnson chases after Creswell. These two getting well ahead. Wood now. Wood trying to look up the inside of Saunders for paddock. Saunders checks that manoeuvre. As I've said, these drivers raced together in Formula First, which was the first formula to have a one-make type of regulation, and this is the new senior one-make level. All these cars, identical cars. They got the 2-litre Ford engine, 145 brake horsepower, 4-speed gearbox, and so it's really much more down to the driver than some of the more senior formula where the cars and chassis are so complex and can be changed. At the moment, though, now Saunders seems to have countered Wood's attack. He's pulling away a bit of breathing space in third place as Wood comes back towards him. Through 30s, this very treacherous conditions, and really all these drivers doing well to put on such a good performance now. As it's Creswell well ahead now. Guy Johnson going with him, perhaps a little bit closer than before, but these two certainly dropping Saunders and Wood in third place. Saunders up to paddock. This time no need to take that inside line to defend his position. He can take, there's a lot of opposite locks, sliding the car in. And now Guy Johnson much closer to Creswell. So Guy Johnson putting on a bit of attack. These two, as I've said, have raced regularly together. And there'll be quite a bit of a challenge between the two of them. Wood sliding through Druids, the car's twitching. They've got these wet weather tyres on now, which give them much better grip, of course, than the slicks. But still, they don't give enough grip. Every driver wants more. Creswell now beginning to come under pressure from Andrew Guy Johnson as he breaks from 30s up to clearways. There, the car sliding, looking for traction. Power, so important to get the power down onto this top straight up to Paddock Hill Bend. The favourite overtaking spot. Guy Johnson not close enough this time. He's in the spray of the slipstream of Chris Creswell, but there'll be no overtaking on this lap. In the background, we seem to have dropped Wood. Yes, Saunders has dropped Wood. Maybe Adrian Wood had a bit of a moment closing in, but there in the background, we see there's Ben Edwards in fifth, but that's Piers Honeysett. And that's tremendous. From the pit lane start, Honeysett driving a storming race. The patched up bodywork obviously not inhibiting him, and he's closing in now on Ben Edwards as they come up to Druids. So Honeysett right at the back. How much more impression can he make on the leaders? The front two are a long way out, but maybe third place is not too much for hope for there. We see it in third place at the moment. Saunders, then Wood, then Edwards, then Honeysett. So certainly Honeysett's got his eyes on third place, if not first or second, if the leaders have trouble. Following young Adrian Wood through clearways. Here the leaders are, in fact, battling for the lead. Guy Johnson now beginning to put a lot of pressure on Creswell. Creswell having to look in his mirrors, dodging left and right. Up to paddock. Guy Johnson closer than ever before, and now he'll be looking to get the inside of Creswell up to Druids. He lets the car run wide. Creswell, you can see his head bobbing from mirror to mirror. This time he's countered Guy Johnson's move and holds his lead round Druids. There, a little bit of a problem. That's a very damaged nose cone of Michael Brain, and in fact he's going to be black flagged if he doesn't come in on his own accord, which he is, arm raised aloft to indicate to other drivers he's into the pits. But otherwise he would have been black flagged and asked to come in because of his damaged car. The leaders, meanwhile, they're through Surtees, no trouble. Creswell leads Guy Johnson. That wide line, missing out the very rubber-marked inside line where there's not so much grip in the wet. Creswell onto top straight. These two well clear of the battle for third. Again, Creswell's head dives from mirror to mirror. I usually used to set my mirrors so I didn't move my head too much because it often gives the driver behind an idea of which way you're looking, and just as his head bobs into one mirror, you overtake on the other side. But still, Creswell leads. These two well clear now. The whole straighter there is Saunders still in third, and he again has pulled away a little bit. Occasionally he's got challenges and then he hasn't. Wood third, and Honeysett already up to fourth past Edwards and looks to get third. I mean fourth off Wood, but Wood chops him off. Honeysett, not wanting to lose a second nose cone of the day, decides that he'll make an overtaking manoeuvre later. So Wood's fourth place under a lot of pressure from Honeysett, and Edwards down to sixth. Creswell meanwhile here, still leading, still maintaining that steady pace, smooth line. Creswell very experienced, a very quick driver, and I think at the moment he's got Guy Johnson's challenges thwarted. Up to paddock. Starting their 8th lap now. 8th out of 12 laps, and Creswell this time a little bit of breathing space from Guy Johnson. He seems to have got the measure of him pulling away. Saunders still got that third, but it's going to be interesting to see how far Honeysett can move up the field. There we see Saunders in third, coming up to paddock. Indeed, there's Honeysett already through to fourth, so Honeysett got by Wood a little bit later, and there we see Ben Edwards trying to get 5th place off Wood, trying to demote him still further, but it's Honeysett, the man we're watching. He's up to fourth. He's now got his eyes on young Brian Saunders ahead of him. Honeysett with more experience than Saunders, but Saunders a very promising young talent. There we see him, Honeysett along Cooper Straight. There in the background, Edwards didn't get by Wood. Wood still holds 5th from Edwards 6th. Here's Honeysett. That taped up, battered bodywork doesn't look that bad, in fact. A brand new nose cone to replace the one that was clipped off by Creswell, but the bodywork prepared. So along top straight, looking to close up. Up front, still not so much of a challenge. Guy Johnson seems to have lost his way a little bit in his attack on Creswell. He's dropped back, perhaps with misted visor. You never know which driver has got the best vision in these conditions. Sometimes you can get a totally misted up visor, which means you do have to back off a bit. So a lot of drivers have different systems of keeping clear vision in these conditions, but it's not always simple. Creswell, however, leads, whatever his problems. He doesn't have any ahead of him. Except, of course, back markers, which is always the leader's problem, again in these conditions with two back markers battling together, but no problem here, lets them neatly by, and Creswell goes on ahead. Another back marker up the inside of paddock, and again no problem for Creswell, so that's two back markers lapped, and no heeded time lost. So Guy Johnson would hope maybe for the back markers to hold up the leader. Hasn't closed the gap. Guy Johnson also passed the back markers, the two clear in the lead, and they're still well clear of the 3rd place man, who is still there, Brian Saunders. Honeysett a little bit closer, hasn't exactly rushed up to him, so hopefully we'll see a battle soon. Wood, in the meantime, still holding 5th place. The leader, however, still looking very unruffled, untroubled. Cool, calm Creswell. Round clearways, seeking the traction. Out onto the top straight. Along Brabham Straight. One look in the mirrors this time, and really Guy Johnson's challenge seems to have evaporated. Creswell seems to have got the measure of him, and it's much more interesting there to see Chris sliding the car down through Paddock Hill Bend. It's an amazingly steep drop, that, often flattened out by the camera, but there, up into Druids as well. Just easing the power on around this tricky conditions there, but sliding as you get full power coming out of Druids. The wide line around the outside of Graham Hill Bend. And here in the background, Honeysett now right with Saunders. There, Edwards trying to take 5th off Wood. So a couple of battles, one for 3rd and 4th, and the other for 5th and 6th. These identical Formula Forward cars have been very successful. It's their 1st year. It's a new formula. It's been a big success. And certainly a lot of young drivers will be looking to use this new formula now as a stepping stone from Formula First or Formula Ford up to Formula 3. So Creswell now going on to his last lap, looking unchallenged. Guy Johnson not close enough really. Creswell can take it a little bit easy on this lap maybe. Not too easy of course, you don't want to give the driver a scent of the last lap victory, but Creswell looking in command of this race. Guy Johnson certainly closing. Chris doesn't want to leave it too late to ease off, but I think he's got the measure of Guy Johnson. He's been holding him off for all 12 laps of this race. And again, through Graham Hill Bend for the last time, easing the power on third gear. They'll be taking fourth gear along this twisting straight up to Surtees, maybe going through fourth, maybe dropping to third gear. But Creswell certainly looking smooth. Up to Clearways, he'll drop to second gear. Guy Johnson not close enough for a last corner desperate manoeuvre. And it looks like Creswell's going to take this Formula Forward Grandstand Trophy race with no problem at all. Indeed, up to the line, Guy Johnson closer than he's been for about